This is a case study of a tropical storm, all about Typhoon Haiyan in the Philippines in 2013. A few notes about the Philippines. It's a middle-income country in Southeast Asia. It's at high risk of tropical storms. It's a group of approximately 7,000 islands located between the Philippine Sea to the east and the South China Sea to the west. It's got a high population density and many people live in poorly constructed wooden buildings. Typhoon Haiyan was one of the most intense tropical storms on record and caused widespread devastation in large areas of Southeast Asia. And you can see here from the photograph the amount of damage that was caused. And then there's also a nice comparison there between the Philippines and the UK. And you can see that the Philippines is a poorer country but a middle-income country. More of the people in the country live in poverty, and the life expectancy is lower, as is the number of doctors per thousand people. Okay, this satellite image from NASA comes. You can see the size of the event that happened across the Philippines. So the purple lines represent the islands of the Philippines, thousands and thousands of islands, and you can see the rain bands across there from that massive tropical storm. And the eye there represents the area of fastest moving winds around that eye wall. So a countrywide event with massive consequences for the country. The reason why the Philippines gets tropical storms like this is because it sits in an area of seasonally very warm ocean water where the sea temperatures go above 27 degrees Celsius, and it's got enough Coriolis force to create the rotating winds that you need for the ocean service. Other problems that the Philippines has is that it's experienced sea level rise because of climate change. Parts of the country have sunk because of groundwater, and the worst affected city, which was Tacloban, is at the end of a bay that funneled water from the storm surge. So here we can see the path of the hurricane, the fastest wind speeds through that central belt there where the red line goes. And you can see on the 7th of November it was Category 4. By the time it reached the Philippines Islands, it was a Category 5. You can see Tacloban there. On the 8th of November, and then Category 5 again, and when it left the Philippines it became a Category 4. By the 9th of November, still a big event, a Category 3, but it had declined, and then it dissipated as it moved over towards Vietnam and China. So the impacts, it caused a storm surge, which is a wall of water that was 25 feet high in some areas, particularly the town of Tacloban, and that caused a lot of deaths, a lot of people drowned. Over 14 million people were affected across 46 provinces, and the city of Tacloban, which is home to more than 220,000 people, suffered more loss of life than any other area in the Philippines. 5 million people saw their homes severely damaged or destroyed, houses destroyed. An additional 480,000 houses were severely damaged. More impacts here. It's probably one of the most devastating storms of recent history. It killed 7,400 people and affected 9 million. The economy was affected with estimated losses at $2.9 billion, much of that in agriculture, particularly rice and sugar. 5.9 million workers lost income according to the United States Aid Agency. The airport was completely destroyed by a 5-meter storm surge, so that impacted long-term aid efforts. There was fears about the spread of disease, and people became refugees and had to migrate. Okay, the natural environment wasn't spared either. You had loss of forests, trees, widespread flooding, and local ecosystems were affected by sewage leaking from overwhelmed sewage systems and oil leaks. There were some responses in the short term. A lot of short-term responses were individual. You see that on the video you're about to watch, but about 800,000 people were evacuated to temporary shelters. £100 million worth of aid was sent, including food, water and medicine. But the distribution of that aid was slow, so that's a bit of a problem due to the scale of damage to infrastructure. And they had to implement a curfew to prevent looting. In terms of the long-term responses, new legislation to prevent construction in high-risk areas. They developed a new early warning disaster system. And the government announced a 4-year, £6.2 billion plan to rebuild homes, businesses and infrastructure. The government was criticised for its slow response, but they did do things, they did try and help people. 6 months later, many people still had limited access to shelter and water. So that shows you how difficult it was to respond to this big event. In terms of tasks to do on this, there's a table on the Word document that I've put together. You have to watch this video on YouTube from Typhoon Haiyan, Eye of the Storm, and any incomplete sections, you can use the Cool Geography web page there, Typhoon Haiyan. That'll cover everything except really the long-term responses, and you can use these websites and videos to complete that on long-term responses. The worksheet looks like this. It's got typeable areas, and then you can see the chart that you can fill in, and the web page just looks like this. Okay, so we'll just finish up with a little dad joke. What happens to a sailboat in a Category 5 hurricane? Mast destruction. I'll see myself out.